Okay.
Right, I'm here with Royden Frost. It's the 22nd of July 2015, the Wednesday night before the big game between the Springboks and the All Blacks at Ellis Park on Saturday. And Royden is a guy who comments on numerous sites, Supersport, SA Rugby Magazine, Springbok Supporters, and he's a massive Springbok rugby fan. And I'm going to ask him a couple of questions. So, Royden, how do you think the Boks are going to do on Saturday against the All Blacks?
I'm very positive about what the Boks can do on Saturday. I mean, they're looking really good. Even though it is basically our second, in my opinion, our second string team. When you look at the guys that are in rehabilitation, with the guys that are the experienced guys that are left out, I feel that the Boks have a really good chance on Saturday, especially that Heinrich Brousseau is playing and that he's starting, because it's with the way things look, we haven't lost a game when Heinrich Brousseau has started. So for me, it's going to be very, very interesting. I do have a bit of a concern though with Ruan Pienaar. I do understand why he is selected for Northern Hemisphere, but that's Northern Hemisphere. Whereas in a game like this weekend, I would have maybe introduced Hougaard or Reinach, but I understand that you have to play combinations too. So my worry is Pienaar at 9 because of the way his general plays. He hasn't look against the World XV he actually had a great game, but against the Aussies he was very on and off, and it does worry me a bit about the weekend. But that's the only real concern that I really had at the moment, you know. Otherwise, the team, I think it's a fantastic team. I think it's great that Lewitt is starting, and I think it's great that Flip has only been introduced off the bench. My concern also a little bit that is worrying me is how good is Berger as a test coach, as a test captain. You understand? A test captain is not a role that somebody can just take in a fly by night and achieve and be successful at it. Normally, you'll find that in majority of teams that your captain is not always your best player. He's maybe a great leader, like John Smith. He wasn't the best in his position, whereas Bismarck and Gary Puerta outperformed him many times. But in fact, he was just such a great leader, and that's what I see in John de Villiers and Victor Matfield. That's another area of concern for me. But as always, I have faith that the Boks will do it. I believe they do. I believe they're playing the right type of rugby. They're playing an expansive game of rugby, and I think the All Blacks are very wary because if you look at it, our backline is practically unknown.
Well, you just mentioned the back line with Dalendi and Creel. You know, there's not many caps there,
Yeah.
and you know there could be a few combinations that the All Blacks could play against us. I mean, Nonu and Smith, Nonu and Williams, Nonu and Fikatoa, Crotty. You know, there's a number of guys, and I've seen comments about Dalendi's tackling, and Creel's just a young guy. You know, I think he had a good test. So how do you feel these guys are going to face up to the All Blacks? A number of them are really tried and tested and been around for a few seasons.
Yeah, Stephen, I actually think it's a very good test for them. If you look at last year in Wellington, Andre Pollard was thrown into the deep end, his first test. I mean, you know, how did he do against the All Blacks? He played it exceptionally well. He created the try that put Hendricks away under the sticks for us, which gave us the lead. We were leading until the All Blacks scored in the second half to win the game 14-10. So I think it's a great test for Dalendi and Creel. Dalendi's tackling is not the best, and in this case, my ideal backline would have been Lambie at 15 and move LaRue to 14, so that you've got Lambie as that last line of defense as well, in that situation. Dalendi, I feel he just needs to work on his tackling a bit. He's got the size to be deadly. I mean, if you go and look at earlier in the year when the Chiefs played the Stormers, Sonny Bill Williams was nowhere because Damian Dalendi put one or two big hits on him and literally neutralized